Hey, good evening, everybody. Welcome to another CAF update. We've got, an unusual show, of course, for this evening. We've got some guests on from Three Wishes who will be announcing their pre-OAX opportunities, and they're all new to the OAX show, so that's going to be a lot of fun. We've not had any of these gentlemen on the show before, and as many of you know, we'll be doing that celebration of life for our good friend Dan T, who passed a few weeks ago, and that's going to be it's gonna be. That's why I wanted to start the show with those artworks that Dan made for many of us in our likenesses, and those are just some of them because Dan spread a lot of joy as both a collector and a friend of ours, and I'm looking forward to hanging out with a lot of collectors towards the end of the show, talking about Dan. But we're gonna be talking about art and doing that with some artists to get things started today. So let me bring in. First, well, here, a lot of you may not know Kirk Dilbeck, so let me bring Kirk in first and welcome you to the show. I mean, we like I mentioned, we had a show about 4 years ago, Kirk, where we got to talk a little bit about you as a collector. But I don't think we talked too much about the business side of Three Wishes and how long you've been and in the rep and agent business. So maybe talk a little bit about that so
people were trying to ask rep questions, and you said, "Oh, we're going to have them back on." So it took a smidge, but here I am. I'm back. So yeah, no, it's
4 years later. Sorry.
There's a lot going on in your world and a lot of good stuff. So that's terrific. So, and we had to get by all that COVID stuff and all of that. But it's brief synopsis. Just my buddy Brian Haberlin, who's about to come on the show with us here. I've known him since high school. We were actually in Vegas with another friend. And he brought a whole pile of art and said, "I'm not sure how to price this. I need to sell this for, Philip Tan." And he goes, "You're a business guy. Do you want to just do it for him?" And I said, "Sure, that would be great." So that's how I became an art rep. And Brian's timing was phenomenal because I believe this was actually 2006, because in August of 2007, the bottom fell out of the real estate market. Literally 2/3 of the business went away in my day job, because I own an escrow company, which is a settlement service.
Right.
And so that extra income was pretty key to my entire life and my family for the next 5 years. So, Brian, you're about to come on, but thank you.
Hey, everybody's got their origin story, so that's yours as a rep, and that's I think a lot of reps. A lot of reps start out as art collectors. I think one way or another. I'm sure you were collecting. You were collecting at that point, right? If I recall from our interview, you were collecting many years before that.
78 was my first piece. Yeah, teenager.
Okay. Yeah, I was 10 years old at that point, Kirk. So yeah, you've been collecting a long time. Well, that's awesome. And today you actually don't have your own website. You do everything through CAF, right? I think everybody's pretty familiar with seeing the Three Wishes name on Comic Card Fans.
And people have asked me before why, and it's like CAF has got that engine that's already built that if I put up a new piece of J. Anacleto art for 3 days, you'll send reminders to everybody that it's there. Mm-hmm. That doesn't exist on your own personal site. So I just thought it was redundant and not necessary because you do such a wonderful job.
I appreciate that. Maybe we shouldn't have said that, because now other reps and agents might just decide to do the same thing and park their business right in the middle of CAF. Some have, though, we know that. But Alberto asked, "What's CAF?" You know why you're here, Alberto. So all right, well, let's bring in the artists, because this is of course, this is your first time coming to OAX as well. I know that we've talked about it previously as you coming just as a collector, and that hasn't we hadn't quite worked things out, but this will be your first experience coming to the show as well. But you are bringing 3 artists with you, and let me bring them all in. We've got J. Anacleto, we have Brian Haberlin, and Stephen Segovia. So welcome to the show, everyone.
Hello. Good morning.
Hello.
Good evening.
Hello, everyone. Hello.
So it's morning for Jay and Stephen.
Yes.
So I believe 9 a.m.-ish, right? So you're just getting the day started.
Hello, everyone. Hello, chat. How are you?
So we want to let you guys know first and foremost that we're excited to have you to the show. This is it's OAX is for me as a collector, it's just a wonderful experience because you get to see, you get to see all your collecting buddies, but you get to do it in a room full of both artists, art reps, dealers, you name it. I mean, it is, you have to be fully immersed only in the hobby that we as collectors, are obviously pretty passionate about. Kirk's been doing it since '78, for God's sakes. Um, but it is a really unique and fun opportunity for us as collectors to actually spend quality time talking with the artists that we really have a lot of respect for. And you just don't get to do that at too many shows. And OAX, I think you'll find really gives you that opportunity. And it's also a good opportunity, I think, to mingle with your peers that you don't always get at shows that you might go to that are a little bit bigger. But ours, it's good, and it's self-contained too. Same hotel, convention center. A lot of the restaurants are there. We're right across from Universal Studios. So there's plenty of places to go out and kind of set your own agenda while you're there too. So it works out pretty good.
Cool. I just need to know all the best restaurants are around, so me and the guys can go eat heartily.
Yes, well, I've heard Kazra is the connoisseur of Orlando, so he will be able to fill you in on all the the best restaurants to go to. I live near there, but I don't get out too often, so I don't get to experience that. I could tell you all the good food stands at Universal Studios though, or Disney. If you need to know where the best popcorn is, or best shaved ice cream, or something like that, I got that. I can help you there.
Good. Yeah, it's traditional for us all to go out and have a nice dinner when we're together, because everybody's so far apart. It's nice to just celebrate, because we all work together, but we're all friends too. So, which is nice.
Exactly. And we only get to see each other, I think, just once or even twice a year. So we're lucky.
Yeah.
I mean, is that usually at San Diego? Have the four of you been in the same room at the same time? So that's my question for you.
Yeah.
Awesome. Now, is that, but when you're saying you guys, would it be a San Diego show that you normally would do that at? Or, because Kirk, I don't know which shows you set up at outside of San Diego.
Yeah, it's San Diego is the tried and true every year for me personally, and for Brian. I think Jay's only missed one or two maybe in the last 18 years, or not missed any.
Probably, yeah.
Yeah.
Aside from those COVID years.
Yeah, right, the COVID years. And then Philip Tan generally makes all of them. And then Stephen and Carlo are the ones that make it. They don't. He was in Japan the week before. So we had a very good excuse this year, but everybody kept on asking, is Stephen here? And I had to let him down. So I'm doing that. But yeah, it's really nice that now Brian's booth is right next to ours. So we're, it's right next to each other, which is great. So I'm sorry, Stephen, I don't mean to talk over you.
Oh, it's fine.
So yeah, that's the main show, and then some years we'll go to New York, some years we'll go to Chicago, and then
Seattle.
Yeah, Seattle. We did for a long time, and then some of them will just a couple of us will go in one place or the other. So, but those are the bigger shows that we tend to go to together.
Awesome. Well, it's going to be great to have all of you in Orlando in February. Hopefully, the weather should be pretty decent.
Yeah.
We're batting 500 so far with the first 2 years. The first year we had it at the end of January, it was 80 degrees every day. And then last year it was about 60 degrees every day, or maybe 59, which was rather like the coldest weekend in the 4 years that I've lived down here. So I have a feeling it's going to be at least somewhere in between, and hopefully on the 80 side of things. So yeah, you can look forward to that. But yeah, it's again, well, one thing, Stephen, I have to ask, because when you came into the green room earlier, what are all those statues in the back behind you? Explain that. I'll go full screen so people can see it.
These are hot toys.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Remember back then when Marvel Cinematic Universe was so popular, and then Hot Toys been releasing a lot of figures, so I keep buying them. Sometimes it's just my excuse to my wife that's going to be my reference, but I don't really need them as a reference. But but this is just a small collection compared to Kirk.
Yeah.
Oh, really, Kirk? You have your collection is even more expansive than that.
Yeah, but mine are more the Bowen stuff. and doing all that bit that I bought all that. And my wife is extremely patient, and I don't know if she's watching, but thank you for letting me to buy all that stuff. And so we actually have a secret room where we keep most of it in. So people, people already know I'm just a huge collector.
Yeah, there's not like a square inch in his house that you could put another piece of art on.
Yeah, I can attest to that.
Yeah.
See in this house.
Yeah, even my garage is full of art. So it's
Wow. Well, you've been collecting 47 years. That's about what I would expect. You might need a second house. Look at Guillermo del Toro, right? He had 2.5 houses or whatever to store all of his art and props and things. So yeah, if you've been doing it for a while, that you need some extra storage space.
Absolutely.
So Brian, I guess for you, do you collect anything like the statues as well, or you just
I'm more of a book guy.
Yeah.
So like I just I was at Stewart Ink Books a couple weeks ago and gathered I've never seen that artist before. Gathering that, got a really nice Jeff Darrow book there the other day and stuff. But yeah, I'm more collecting art books and stuff like that. But I also, we were doing original art collection from when we were kids, so I've got some nice little pieces too that float around, and ones that I'm sorry that I sold when I was very young.
Yeah, we all have those stories. That's
no,
sure.
I think I have the biggest one. You ready?
You do? Oh yeah, come on, hit us. We love watching another collector cry.
When I was 16, I bought 2 Daredevil covers from Frank Miller for $200 each, and the next week I sold them for $400 each.
That's a lot of profit.
Yeah, and now they're
you think,
$250,000
double my
each.
money. That's cool. I'm out.
Yeah, it was easy in the early days, I mean, no, I don't have a story like that.
Thankfully, hopefully most people don't.
No, that is the ones that got away, but haven't heard anything as bad as that. Well, I'm sorry, Brian. Hopefully you held on to a few other, a few things so that kind of tempers that disappointment.
Yeah.
Sometimes, as collectors, it's just nice to be able to say that you did own it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, not really.
I'm finding, I'm finding as I get older,
to find a way, a silver lining there.
Yeah, exactly. It's nice that you did. It was a curated part of your collection at one point, and it was hanging there. But the money aspect is painful, but having to enjoyed it for as long as we did is the benefit, I suppose. But the money part does sting.
It's for reference.
Yeah, it's for reference, exactly.
Yeah. You didn't have any like John Byrne Uncanny X-Men covers too that you bought for like $250 each. Nothing like that. No, just the Frank Miller.
I wasn't really selling a lot of that stuff when we were kids collecting.
Yeah.
Because we were both at San Diego's when he was there in his Uncanny run, and Roy Kirk, he wasn't selling a lot of stuff back then.
No, I think you had to be on the East Coast to be able to pick that stuff up in the beginning, because we definitely did not run across any of it, or we would have grabbed some at that point. And we were pretty much it was San Diego, and then Anaheim at a show, and occasionally you'd get somebody that would come to the local LA show, but not very often. So, but we were very much the West Coast guys. So.
You didn't sell Frank Miller covers, Kirk, right? Or did you keep yours?
We owned half and half of one that I was thrilled because I was, it was dating money at that point. You had no money, and then now I could take a girl on a date because I didn't have a job at that point. So like I said, happy at the time. And no, Michael Golden, when his Doctor Strange book came out, he did a sketch of Wolverine for me, and I got 3 of the pages out of that book, including the page number 1, and I negotiated him to $300 for the 3 pages and the sketch. And then, like at one of the same place we used to do, he sold the Daredevil stuff. I sold one of the pages, I think, for like $150, and then I sold the big page number 1 that was the Michael Golden and Terry Austin for $300. So I'd already made 50% of the money back, still had a page, still had the sketch.
Mhm.
And then I sold the other page. And so I kept the sketch and I was all happy about that. And Golden came back in, and then it wasn't as rare as it used to be. And so it just, no, so that was painful. So, and the John Total Beans Miracle Man covers, I had all three of them on my hands. They were $300 each. And especially the one with the severed head, where Miracle Man, the evil one.
Classic.
I thought, oh, my wife wouldn't want me putting that on my wall. I'll put that back. It's like, I should have bought all three. It was so dumb. So, anyways, we could go on and on.
So, what about you, Jay? Do you collect, or you just make art?
Oh, I do have a few, but they're now mostly in boxes ever since I got my 2 dogs. I have to keep those away from them. They destroyed, I think, one of my Red Sonja covers.
Yeah, we can't have that.
So for now, they're in storage.
Wow. Yeah, I don't know if our hobby has a, my pet destroyed my art collection stories yet. There's been a lot of other things, right? So packages left on the front stoop, fire, flood, but animals, no, I'm not sure of that. But there's bound to be some of those stories out there. I just haven't heard them.
Oh yeah.
My dog liked cardboard and paper also, and I had some original art that showed up, and the dog ate the bottom third, but it was a really cool Detective Chimp commission, and the bottom of the page being ripped out actually looked like it was done on purpose. So I got totally lucky that they didn't get any of the art and it just kind of looked fun. So
Nice. Very
Yeah.
well. You lucked out there.
yeah, absolutely.
So so we're here to announce your pre-OAX opportunities and get those active on the site. And we can still talk a little bit. I feel like I know some of the people who are probably watching right now are interested in what is going to what the opportunities will be. Give them some time to look at them, and I've got all the slides loaded up for each of you as well. And so we might as well start that and just answer any questions, make sure I've got everything straight. Kirk, one thing I wanted to be sure about, because you and I talked about it a week ago, is that typically when you're taking commissions like this, especially ones that are going to be delivered at OAX around 6 months from now, how do you usually want to handle payment on a piece of on a commission that's being done? Do you take anything up front, or do you wait until the pieces are completed?
Way back when we first started, we used to take the whole thing up front, and then we decided to take half of it up front. And then we got to the point lately where if the guys do a layout and the layout's approved, then we'll take the payment. But in a scenario like this, where there's multiple commissions coming, and I know these guys have got all their cover work and everything else that they're doing, I think we're just going to just get paid at the show, because I feel comfortable. I think they do as well. All three of these guys do such amazing work. Nobody's going to look at it and go, I don't want it. So I think it'll be simpler if we just take the payment there at the show. Don't worry about anything up front. And then people can just decide, okay, I've got 6 months to budget, so I save enough money so I have it to actually, pay for a piece. So.
All right. Well, some people might demand to pay it because I know a lot, but they may not too. At the same time, they might appreciate that, because a lot of collectors, one of the reasons we do start the pre-OAX early is to give the collectors the opportunity to spend a little bit of money 6 months out and, replenish that war chest by the time they get to the show. You know how it goes. It's a mindset, right?
We're addicts, so you want to, if you got that money, get it out of your hands so you don't buy something else with it. No, I do get that.
Exactly. And that was just a question Lost 616 just asked, can we pay up front? So if they want to pay up front, they can. And if they want to wait, you guys are more than comfortable to do that. Any of the commission opportunities get submitted through the OAX website. So those will be emailed to Kirk, and he'll be able to reach out to you if he has any questions or to confirm that your commission's been accepted. I think everybody has certain levels of, only taking a certain number of overall commission spots based on, the options that are available. And in some cases, you have limits based on specific options, right? You might only be taking, 10 9x12s or whatever, you know what I'm trying to say. So everybody needs to know that. But throughout the whole commission process or pre-OAX process, we would highlight that if Brian was 100% sold out, that would be shown, or if Jay had just one of his line items sold out because he was only taking 2 large commissions, for instance, we could just turn off one line item. And so you know, a lot of people haven't seen our system kind of in as it works, but that's how it works. So I'm going to start with you, Jay, because you know you're in alphabetically. You get to be first up. So let me go ahead and I guess the first thing I should do is turn your link on. And anybody who's going over to the OPX website would need to refresh the page. It's not automatically going to turn on for everybody, but it is active and live over there. And I can even throw the link into the chat before I show the first slide. Oh, and of course it didn't copy the full URL. Doggone it. Here we go. Oh, it's going round and round on me right now. Sorry, I'll get it in there in a second. But let me go ahead and pull up the first slide here and see what's. Oh, here I'm sorry. Now, of course, I'm trying to turn it on live, and it won't turn on the way I want it to turn on. Love a snafu like that.
Yeah.
Why is that doing that? This is that.
When the computers know you're desperate, Bill.
Yeah.
My family says I have a null field around me of anything, you know, so that could be my fault. You know, just even from being this far.
No, it's my fault. Because I preset everything up, and I probably missed one toggle to turn it on. And yeah, I think that I did. I know exactly what the problem is. So yeah, just give me one little second here, and I'll have it turned on. Apologies, everybody.
No worries. I'll ask Jay, how many sketch cards I mean, the sketch card idea just came out. Bill asked us today, so Steven said he'd do 10 of them. Jay, do you want to let your fans know how many sketch cards you'll potentially do?
I can do an additional probably 5 or 7.
5 to 7. Okay.
I think we were also discussing that the main reason I'm just taking 2 commissions because I still have other stuff to do. But I think we were talking just in case that I get to finish those 2 commissions early. Do we get another, like, the option to
reopen a list?
Additional open.
Yeah, we certainly can reopen any list that if you shut off one of them and then you finished enough and there's still 4 months out. Have Kirk
I just want to make sure that everyone who asks for a commission gets them. So I limited them to 2, but just in case I get those done early, then we can open for additional slots.
Yeah,
absolutely.
2024 was a weird year in that we had a show in May, then had another show in July, and Jay took quite a bit in each and then swamped himself, and he's still digging himself out of that hole. So, but he's going to do it.
Are you saying Jay Anacleto isn't fast?
You know.
Well, Jay, that could have been
a miracle someone's still hiring him.
All right, let's start. Let me show the options here. Maybe we can understand why maybe it takes Jay a little bit more time than a few other people to get their commissions done. So as we're getting things started with Jay, he does have 3 options that he's offering. The first is a sketch card option, and it is going to be done on OAX 2026 sketch card stock. I know that some folks, when they might like to have it on their own sketch card stock, we can certainly, those are things that can be worked out after the fact, but we're going to be providing many of the reps and artists with our own custom stock for that show, and it will be done on those if you don't try to change it to something else. But the option is right now you're taking these at $350. You can see, I mean, again, if this is the kind of detail you can put into a sketch card, you can tell when it's an 11 by 17 piece of art commission that you're doing, Jay. It's you're not going to knock this out in a couple hours.
No. And by looking at it, it's almost actual size, 2.5 by 3.5 inches, and you can see the amount of detail I can put in. So yeah, it takes a lot of time.
those triple jointed fingers he has that it gets that.
I haven't had any complaints so far, especially on the sketch cards.
Well, we appreciate you doing that. That was something that we introduced this with the 2026 show, and as you guys know, we have the Card Art Expo as part of OAX, and so there are at least 100 sketch card collectors that are there. So this is going to be something that I think a lot of people are going to appreciate having the opportunity to pick up from you. Then the other two options that you have are you have the 11 by 17, like we talked about. So you have a single character.
Yes.
And go ahead, Jay.
Yeah, I only do pencils, but as you can see, they're very clean and very detailed. That's what I can promise with with the commissions that you'll be getting. So this is what is described as a single character torso, waist up, made basically from hips up, and with very minimal backgrounds. But so we're just mostly focusing on the main character that you'll be asking for.
Yeah, it's fantastic, and I think we have another example at that same level. So
Same format. Yes.
And I always tell him it's waist up, Jay, and he always draws stuff below the waist. It's like you'd be faster if you stopped drawing all the extra stuff.
I want people to be happy. Don't blame me.
Yeah.
Oh man, well that's we love hearing that, Jay. I mean, there's a lot of your work on CAF, and we've featured quite a few of your pieces on the CAF update when we're talking about artworks that we feel are that collectors have picked up that we feel deserve recognition, and we always marvel at the amount of detail you can put into a piece.
Thank you.
And then the other level, the last level, is more of a knees up, I guess, full figure, single character. Again, this one's $2,000, and these are on 11 by 17 again. And,
yes.
So when you work on something like this, do you work on multiple commissions at a time, or do you kind of want to start one and finish it?
I try to work on just one piece at a time. I don't want to get distracted thinking of the next or working on the next commission while I'm not yet finished with this one. It takes a lot of attention, concentration just to get this done.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense. And Michael Alper's asking a question: if something happens and we end up not making it to OAX, can it be shipped after? I mean, that's clearly, if your intent is to come to OAX, Michael, and we all know you, I'm sure that can be worked out. But clearly, the goal is, anybody picking up any of these commissions is coming to OAX and picking up the art there and sharing it with all your friends while you're there, and getting it on the CAF after the show's over. But clearly, we've had some issues, with people who've picked up commissions and then weren't able to attend the show for various reasons, and that's at the end of the day understandable. And I think, that's right. We had a different image for that size too. There we go.
Yeah. Also, once the prospective client asks for a commission, then I think you said they'll get in touch with Kirk, and then we'll get back to him to ask for details like what his preferred costume, preferred look. Because superheroes all change their costumes and look like a drop of the hat. So then we need to get that settled in before we can start the commission. So sometimes it could take another 2 or 3 weeks before we could even actually start on the layouts, just to get everything right from the client's perspective.
Yeah, no, that makes a whole lot of sense. And so I saw Steve Mussolino said he was an ankles guy. Sorry, Steve, if you're an ankles guy, you miss out on this one. Maybe they can draw it from the torso down for you. That might be a special commission. It might be a little more costly, but it might be achievable. But
or you can ask for a sketch card just with an ankle.
That's right. Hey, there's a gentleman out there who is I think he's a hand surgeon or something like that. He collects sketches of hands, and it could be so and so's, Captain America's glove, right, or whatever. So the character, but it's a hand. I
Steven said
did want to
one,
ask.
I think, yeah.
What? Oh, you've gotten that before?
Actually, yeah, did a hand one. So, thank you already to Anthony, to Robert, to Justin.
Right. I did see that we got 3 sketch card commissions requests come in. So, do you want me to turn the sketch card one off for the time being, or because I know we got?
I think Jay said 5 to 7, so we may.
Okay. Okay.
5,
Cool.
so.
Then I'm totally leaving that up to you. But it's nice to see them come in. So that's wonderful. Thank you everybody who's picking them up already.
Yeah.
We appreciate that. So those are the 3 options that Jay has right now. And again, it's if you have any questions, clearly everybody I think knows where how they can find Kirk's calf gallery. So you can always email Kirk with any questions in the lead up for that. And that's one thing I didn't think to put on the forms themselves. Like I'll make sure that I put a way for them to maybe ask a question before they submit the an inquiry, just in case some people want to know the answer before they submit the form.
Yeah, and the form request comes to Bill and I, but if you've got additional questions, I always like direct emails. And, so when you send it through CAF, make sure you put your email address there too, because I don't want to spam Bill with, do you want Electra with the thing on or the cap on or the cap off? And do you want size? Do you want a sword? Bill doesn't need that stuff. So, let's just, once we get it in, then let's take it off with a direct email, please.
That works. So, Brian, we'll do you next. How's that? And we should say before this whole thing gets started too, that Brian, you have a Kickstarter going on right now, right?
I do. I have a Kickstarter right now. We got fully funded in 12 hours, which was great. But we have lots of extra little goodies, originals, and sketches and stuff that are different tiers that go with the book. We got projects we love from Kickstarter, which was great. So that was wonderful. And then I'm prepping all these large oil acrylics behind me for I have my first big solo show in New York at the Arcadia Gallery on October 4th, which will have
fantastic
20 pieces
the
in it.
one with the 2 guys, you generally don't do guys, and that's really cool. With the red hat and everything.
That was the gallery owner Steve has been pressing me to get a couple guys into this show. I don't want you to just be known for the guy who does pretty women. So so I have a few guys on this. So I'm busy prepping for that too.
And so that's right before New York Comic Con, right? Was it kind of timed for that, or is that just kind of fortunate?
Not really. And people ask me, are you going to go to New York Comic Con too? It's like New York Comic Con's like the next week. It's like, yeah, I can't stay out in New York for a week. Essentially, that can't happen. But I'm making sure all my friends are invited to check it out and stuff like that. I'm very, very happy. There's a gallery that I've been following for 25 years. The Arcadia Gallery is one of the top figurative art galleries in the country, and they do great stuff. So
fantastic.
But yeah, then
congratulations. That's wonderful. So it's a really wonderful time for to be Brian, because you got so much stuff going on, but you have a lot of work to do, I imagine, for the gallery show, right? Before you have everything.
We're just
for that.
Just prepping, putting varnishes on things. On my watercolors, I put them on birch, and then I have to UV protect them, and then I do a door lens wax on the surface, so they don't have to be behind glass.
Oh wow!
So they have a really neat look that way, and really sets them off from watercolors too. I mean, my watercolors tend to look a little oily anyway, so it kind of puts them to that level,
Right. When Casper and I were looking at your stuff at San Diego, it was surprising how rich your watercolors are. That was the kind of takeaway for us, because it didn't, it had an oil paint quality to them. It was shocking.
Thanks.
But yeah, no, I love it. That's your work is phenomenal, and I'll definitely be getting on the Kickstarter.
Cool. Thank you.
All right. Well, let's show you. Well, we didn't talk about this before when we were in the green room. I know you talked about potentially doing a different size too, but we've only got one size that we're going to be showing tonight. So if anything does change, just we always regularly.
Yeah, I just sent you an updated commission list. So right now I'll do 11 by 17s and 9 by 12s.
Okay.
So
I'll get. It'll just take me. I'll be able to do it after the show, where I can get the 9 by 12s plugged into the form. But so everybody should know that we will have 9 by 12 options But we could talk about them tonight, and then I can get them in there once we're all done with the show tonight. Let's see here. So first slide. So I think the way we have your commission set up is there's technically 6 different options. Three are black and white, and 3 are in color that we have on that we're showing today. We know we're going to have 9x12s as well, but these are all 11x17. So this first one is an 11x17 headshot that's in watercolor and gouache. You can add backgrounds. That's something you would need to mention as a buyer when you're requesting the character. It's a comment field, so you can say you want to have backgrounds in there. But questions for you, Brian, when I look, say looking at a piece like this, I mean, what would you do background wise on a piece like this? It's 11x17, so you have a lot of room to play with.
Yeah, I mean, if I was doing a big headshot like that, I'd want to have the whole distance thing. So I would put I would think a city landscape coming behind him, kind of thing. Maybe the Baxter building in the background or something like that.
That makes perfect sense. Yeah, this is and yeah, you sent me this image as a color one, and I switched it to see what it would look like in black and white, and I liked it. And I'm like, that kind of works. So this is your first option. It's a $500 base level for a headshot. Then we have more of a bust, your traditional bust where you have a chest up, and these are at $750 on 11x17. And this was one I changed from a color one too. I like your black and white looks pretty darn good, man. Your tonal work is spot on, Brian. And same thing here. Backgrounds are optional, and when somebody, because the base price is going to say $750. If you wanted to have backgrounds to add it into it, just put that into the comments section where you're requesting which character you would like.
Yeah, and there'll always be some sort of vignette or whatever. Even if there is no background, there'll be color back there or something.
Right.
Yeah.
And then there was the torso option too. This one's at $1,000, watercolor and gouache again, black and white of course. And again, just another example of your work, Brian. Just it's fantastic. It was tough. I think I got 20 different images from Kirk to go through. So it was tough to which images do I pick? So hopefully I chose wisely. But if you want me to change any of them, I will.
No, I tell you, whenever I do a death and takes it to a show, it goes in 2 seconds. Yeah,
that doesn't surprise me. Now the color options they follow the same kind of the headshot for the first one on 11x17. So this colored piece will be $1,000. Backgrounds are an option as well, and we also have a bust at $1,500 on the 11x17. And again, I mean. Look, this is I love this piece. It's beautiful.
His Fantastic Four pieces when he turned them into me, because I've been begging Brian to do superhero stuff for, I don't know, a decade. And they came in and I just fell in love with every one of them. I mean, just the faces that he chose to do, I think totally fit the characters and show a love for those characters that, is been in them for, 40 plus years.
Yeah, nothing against the people who just did the movie, because I like the movie and everything, but my Fantastic Four was John Byrne's Fantastic Four, and stuff. So I've kind of try to do the realistic version of his characters.
Mm-hmm. Well, that one is fantastic, and then the kind of the torso piece. So it's 11x17, full color, watercolor gouache, is at $2,000, and it's gorgeous. I mean, again, I wish people could have everybody could have walked through your booth at San Diego to see your stuff. Jimmy Palmiotti was fawning over everything. I think if he would have walked away with every piece on your back wall.
Yeah,
you've known Jimmy for a while.
Those are fun to get to do. I mean, Witchblade was my co-creation, so it's fun to do Witchblade every once in a while too.
You get asked to do Witchblade a lot?
Surprisingly, no.
But that should change.
Yeah.
That should.
Well, I mean, usually my MO, Bill, is I'll do whatever the hell I want and take them to shows, and they usually sell fine. So it's like, it's just like, here, if you like it, buy it. Yeah.
Right. So is that, I mean, I know you did a lot of pre-done pieces for San Diego. Is that,
Yeah.
that's kind of a standard approach going to shows?
Yeah. I'll usually have a couple that I've kind of partially started that I'll be doodling on at the show, so I don't have to talk to people and put my head down and just kind of forget, you know. So, but no, not seriously. But yeah, I usually bring a few pieces that I have kind of started, and then I'll finish them at the shows.
Well, painting is probably a little bit more difficult to do at shows than just sitting down with a pencil and a drawing.
You know, I don't mind it.
Yeah.
You know, I guess it's just because I just finished the Laguna Beach Festival of Arts, which was 2 months, and whenever I'd only go down there once a week and be at my booth, but I'd always bring a piece, and I'd have my you know, pans of watercolors, and you know, people are like, all the other artists are like, how are you so fast and stuff. Comic book artist. That's why. I
Yes,
still remember
deadlines. Just say that.
Yeah,
Deadlines.
and I still always remember when Kirk and I were first kids in San Diego, and you'd be walking around the artists and stuff, and you'd have you know, Ernie Chan next to Alfredo Akala, and you know, they'd bust out a Conan with a tree behind it, with a leopard in the tree, and watercolor, all in about an hour, maybe. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so, you know, and that's, and you know, and I started as a colorist back in the day when it was computer, but we also did guides.
Mm-hmm.
So I had to do, you know, watercolor guides, you know, relatively quickly too, you know, so yeah. And you know, just from being an illustrator or comic book artist, you get kind of fast, except for Jay.
I was gonna say it's a
background. In my background, detail and patience. Those are what I was taught.
Show them the fingers, Jay, real quick.
Oh no! I don't want to freak out the audience.
Well, Brian, again, we're excited to have you at the show, and congrats on all the success, you know, with the Kickstarter and the gallery show, and again, anything we can do to promote, you know, anything that you've got working on, and anybody from, you know, Kirk, just so you know, the whole team, if they've got stuff going on, we're always happy to promote, you know, Kickstarters, shows for artists, you name it. We don't. Artists don't think they utilize CAF as a marketing platform for things like that. We're here for them. I mean, we really would like to be able to do more of that. You know, we're not just about the dealers, you know, the bigger dealers and the auction houses and those sorts of things. So utilize us.
I appreciate that, and I'll have to, you know, figure out the format to do that. In fact, after Steven's done, I'll pitch something for Philip. So because Philip just moved to Japan and he couldn't come to the show. But we'll cover that later because Steven's the star of the show now.
There we go. All right, Steven. So we can get started and show off your commission options as well. And let me see here. I guess I should probably go get the link as well for that. And
it was nice what you're doing that it was, Steven was a rare that he actually came to me and said, hey, will you rep me? And I'm like, are you kidding? You're amazing. I would love to do that. And I was floored. And I don't know if I have Jay to thank for that, Philip to thank for that, Brian to thank for that. But I mean, it was, you know, thank you. Because that was 2011 or 12.
It's around 10.
2010.
Okay. Yeah, late 2010.
So only 15 years ago.
Yeah.
So Steven, so we've got your commission opportunities turned on the website now too, so we can go ahead and take a look at what you are bringing as opportunities for people to get a pre-commission scheduled with you. So first up, we are starting off with sketch cards, and I know we're using the Marvel Masterpieces examples because you have worked on Marvel Masterpieces in the past. That's not the stock that these will be drawn on. Just so everybody knows, the base stock will be the OAX 2026 show stock, but yeah, these are the example images we had, and you did a lot of these cards, right? Is this? Yeah.
I did like around 300 pieces.
Wow. Yeah.
Yeah,
Did you get a lot of blanks to draw on too from getting that gig?
Yeah. Usually they send 10 AP Marvel Masterpiece cards for each of 100 sketch card you finish. So I got 30 from them.
Oh, great.
It's really collectibles for those who collect sketch cards.
Well, for this one, you're doing 3 different options. Pencils only at $75 on the sketch card. Pen and ink will be 150, or a colored option of 250. We don't have images of those, but I can promise everybody that if I dig some up, or if any collectors are out there who have examples of those, Stevens, I'm happy to have people send me images, and if I get them approved, I'll put them up on the slide. So we have example pieces of all types. And I do know if you do a search for Segovia and sketch card over at CAF, you will see other Marvel Masterpieces items, as well as I think a few pencil-only sketch cards as well, Stephen, that maybe so people have asked to do. I think there was a Thor and a Wolverine up on Comic Art Fans. So that's option number one, and then we move into we have a A4 option that's a little under 8.5, a little bit bigger than 11.5. It's torso, pen and ink with grayscale, and there is an option to put colors on it. So any grayscale work that you do is going to be an ink wash and watercolor, and these are beautiful. There's quite a few of these on CAF, Stephen. You have a lot of fans on our website.
Thank you so much.
So you have that one, and I think this one is the same level, right? This is with a little bit of color added in as well. So
that's correct.
Good.
The little bit color is like a monochromatic-ish, kind of.
No, that's nice. I think you even sent me some other examples. I can probably put a few more slides up on the website too, so people have a good idea of how that would look. And then after the A4s, then we have 11 by 17s with a single figure, pen and ink with grayscale again, and you have an option to add colors. And I should let everybody know, the base price for any of these options is the one that's shown. Like this one would be $850. If you did want to have colors added, at the plus $100 level, when you submit your request, write that in basically the character comments field, where you're asking for the character and the costume, etc. Whatever details you're putting in there, please add that option, the $100 color option, into the comments field.
Yeah, I absolutely love this piece. He just totally killed it. And obviously this is, that's not really minimal color, because it's almost a whole additional sketch, but I had to send that in as an example just because I think it's a strong piece.
Oh no, yeah, no, it's very nice, and you get a little bit of both on that one. And then the next level is 11 by 17, single figure, minimal backgrounds, pen and ink with grayscale. Again, this one the option is $1,200. Very nice Magic. Magic's a popular character to get requested, Stephen. I assume maybe you've drawn a few images with her in the past?
Well, usually every convention, most clients request Magic. Every time I go to a convention, they always request Magic. I haven't done any professional work I think I did one for Marvel, a cover back then.
Well, as the Magic fans, they'll ask artists who have worked on published work with Magic or not. If they think you'll draw a good Magic, they'll ask. We do a mystery sketch thing twice a year for our virtual con, and Magic is probably the #1 requested character every year. I mean, there's one guy who buys a lot of Captain America, so he kind of skews it. But if you knock Captain America off the list, Magic is always #1.
She's always had such interesting looks too, whether through the years. This is one of the ones where when the guys ask, and I said I think they want traditional, but Magic I never know, because she's got so many great looks, and whether you got the demon form or the human form, and the younger girl, the older girl, so she's a great character.
Agreed. So at this level is $1,200. Then we have a similar level, but with more backgrounds, full backgrounds. This one's $1,500. And when I look at that, I'd say that's almost cover quality, Stephen.
Thank you.
And there's quite a few commission pieces of yours on CAF too that have varying degrees of background on them. But you draw a great Batman. To say that right.
So much.
It's fantastic. And then one last one. We have the color option with backgrounds, and I assume this is probably a recent piece, but it's gorgeous.
Thank you.
And again, this is 11 by 17, $2,500 for that level as well. And that's all the options we've got, right? I think, yeah, that's the last slide. So, yeah, this is, I'm excited to have you guys at the show. That's all I can say. I think you're going to have a lot of fun. We're just getting started on floor plans and things, Kirk. So, that's kind of where I don't know if we can say that's a fun part of our of the stage of development with the show or not. But it is kind of neat when you start thinking of flows, and we're always very considerate when we think about what groups we put near one another, and because we at the end of the day we're trying to curate and construct a really fun flowing show that where it makes sense to have certain guests in the same area, and and those sorts of things. So
yeah, just don't put me directly next to Anacleto.
All right, let me make a note of that. Brian, Jay.
He throws stuff at me.
I do.
Yeah, that's because Brian's sitting there knocking out, his, a puma in a tree with Conan in front of him in about an hour, Jay, while you're still trying, just getting the rough outline in. Nothing. He's just showing off.
I got watercolor, so I could just flick him too.
But there's no extra charge for the color added on Jay's because they're coming from Brian.
That's right. That is true. Yeah, we've actually had some fun with stuff in the past. Kind of some artists have teamed up and done different things. Like for the auction one year, in the first year of the show, like Amanda Connor did her piece, a Power Girl piece, and Allison Sohn colored it. It was kind of a spur of the moment thing. We've done a lot. It's a very fun show. You guys are, there's a lot of interesting things we do. And I'll be honest, if you think of any, have any ideas or suggestions on how you think you can make the show even more special, I mean, we're always open to talk in the 6 months leading up to the show, because again, we're trying to create the best experience for people on both sides of the table, not only, for you, but for the fans too. So, no ideas are bad. Please go, if you work with us.
We've only heard good things.
Good. I'm glad. I really am. Sorry, I'm just making sure I didn't miss anything in the chat. Probably not. But listen, if there's anything, Kirk, if you have any questions about anything, you let me know.
Most
Brian,
definitely, I will not be shy.
No, I know that. And Brian, Stephen, and Jay, again, we're so thrilled to have you at the show. It's going to be a lot of fun. I'm looking forward to meeting you all, and I know we'll be coordinating, when you guys are coming in and everything. But we're really happy to have you as guests, and again, can't wait to see you again, Brian and Kirk in person, and Jay and Stephen for the first time in Orlando in February.
Great. Yeah. Look forward to it.
And if I can. Do you guys have anything more to say, or can I pitch Phillips and Carlos stuff?
That's right.
Yes.
You have an art drop going on tomorrow, I think.
You guys are cool there.
Yeah.
Well, it's fun. I literally just got an email from Carlos saying he just finished the 25-page book for the Planet Hulk anniversary issue. So that's very exciting. So we'll have pages that are coming up for that sooner rather than later. He literally just finished it, so probably next week. But I know that people are such a huge fan of Carlos and Jason's Planet Hulk. So that's very exciting. And then, as I mentioned, Philip moved to Japan, and it's the only reason why he's not coming to OAX. He just moved in August. He's still getting everything organized. But you might notice, if you're keeping an eye on our gallery, that I'm putting a lot of Philip stuff. It's because he moved. So he found a whole bunch of things. And so he gave me a whole lot of art. And then he decided that he was going to go ahead and let go of some of his Ronin issues. And so he's keeping Ronin 1. But the first one I'm going to sell is Ronin issue 2. It's going to be the cover and all the pages are double page splashes, and we're going to be selling the entire book together. And so we just figured that would be a unique way of trying to do that for that issue number 2. So we're if anybody that's watching the show is interested, we're just going to sell the whole thing cover. And I apologize, I don't know how many pages it is. I think it's 30 or 35, but we're going to sell it for $50,000. So that's the scoop on that. I'll try and get that up, if not tomorrow, certainly early next week. And just appreciate, Bill, for you putting all this together. And thank you, my friends, for joining me this evening and us. So
it's our pleasure. And we'll be talking with you more about that too, Kirk. As far as bringing, new things to OAX. That's kind of a part of the whole thing too. Holding a few things back so that people have something to look forward to. Gives them a reason to go to your table. All that stuff, just like going to pick up their commissions and everything. So we'll be working with you throughout the next 6 months. You might not want to see me. We finally get together, but. Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. So thank you all for being here tonight, and I'll see you. We'll be talking.
Sounds great. Thank you.
Yes, Bill. Thank you.
Have a good day or a good evening, guys.
Thanks.
Thank you.
And see you, Jay. Let me drop. Oh, there we go. 2 minutes. Yeah, there's a lot of buttons to click and everything there. So what was that? Jason is. I don't think he meant you, Jason, but you're welcome nonetheless. So, as everybody knows, we're doing a few things differently. Sorry, we're doing little things differently tonight because we are not doing the CAF update as we normally would. We're going to be doing a celebration of life for Dan T. But I just wanted to kind of throw a schedule out there really quick to kind of give me a moment to pause. I could take a sip of something, and then we're going to dive into that. But the one thing, we added a couple things and removed a couple things and shuffled a few things around on the schedule. And one thing, I can even see it right now. I should have moved and I didn't. I do have Dexter Bynes on the show on Saturday. Then next week it's going to be kind of busy. We've got Comic Connect doing an auction preview. We'll have another Card Art Explained live on Tuesday at 8 o'clock. That will be a pre-OAX opportunity as well. So you can imagine there's some sketch card artists that will be joining us for that show. And I look forward to that. It is already up and queued up within YouTube. So you can go read about that show. But that will be at an 8 o'clock start time. And then I'll have my interview with Patrick Wedge, who works with Jimmy and Amanda, a longtime collector. That show will be at 9 o'clock after the Card Art Explained show. Then Kazra will be at Eddie Pecan that following weekend too. There will be a meetup, and I will have a specific date and time for you guys next week. Then more previews going on. But Nick Brucci, he emailed me before the show. He is moving his Wednesday art drop from 9/17 to 10/1. So I do need to move that on the schedule. And I think I mentioned it last week, or maybe I didn't, but Brian Hitch is moving his show into October as well. He was originally scheduled for, I think, the second weekend in September. And so now he will be on the 18th of October. And I have that in the wrong slot because New York should be ahead of that. But there you go. That is the upcoming schedule of things going on around here. And I'm probably missing a few things here or there, but that's all right. So, as everybody knows, we Dan T did pass away a few weeks ago, and we've got a lot of people in the green room right now. So we're gonna just what I thought before we get started, I just wanted to just take a moment of pause, just to remember Dan before we celebrate his life, because I'll tell you that as little as I feel I knew Dan brought more joy into to my life than he probably should have. With all the drawings and things that he did, from the caricatures of many of you that, we've all gotten to know each other in the last 5 years. He's just a remarkable guy. It's sometimes people step up in ways you don't expect, and they just make your circle of friends, all that more enjoyable. And Dan T was that guy. And limited interactions for me with him, but the few times that we hung out together, he got me to buy a piece of art. I mean, I actually have it right here. I wouldn't have met Mr. Lesniewski if it wasn't for Dan T. He demanded that I go over and look at him drawing a Cyclops. And Dan was so influential that I couldn't walk away and not buy it. And that was just the kind of guy he was. He loved art, and he loved talking to the artists, and he loved exposing us to new artists as well. And so that was one of the joys that he brought to our lives. So just let's just take a moment. I have just a little an image of Dan, and in front of all of the wonderful drawings that he did for many of us. Always smiling. So let me, I don't know where to start. There's so many people in the green room at the moment, but there was a group of us who were emailing regularly. There was Jason. Yeah, surprise, Jason. I had to bring you in, and Tyler, and Jeff. And, you guys, I don't know what to say other than the fact that, I know that Dan meant a lot to all of us, and you guys spent a lot of time with him over the last 4 or 5 years, getting to know him, seeing him at shows, hanging out, having a drink. Tyler, you in particular, I know you and Dan, we're very close.
Yeah, it's amazing, and it's been a fairly tough last couple of weeks, and I think that's probably on par for everybody in the community, and it just makes you immediately think of all these stories, and one of the first things I thought of was how I actually met Dan. And that was because of Felix at Heroes one year, and I don't even know if Dan was there. If he was, he wasn't present. But Felix was like, "Hey, do you know Dan T?" And I said no, just had no clue. And I immediately went to his calf at Heroes in there, and I just saw all these names because Felix is like, "Oh yeah, you guys have a lot of artists in common," and he really wasn't exaggerating. And I think that's probably one of the first collectors amongst everybody that I've met so far that I really had a ton in common with. Same like I've got to know Jason and Jeff here, but we have our preferences are almost opposite of each other a lot of times. So we have fun with that too, whether it's Star Wars or Juggernauts or I guess my horror, whatever that is. But that first time, as soon as I realized that, I instantly just had all these things in common with Dan. And that was a pretty cool thing as far as just another layer of the hobby that shows you how much, how deep it is. And then, even in those little subsets, you find people that enjoy those same things. So that was really cool. So, but that's one of a number, really. And I can keep going if you want me to.
I know you can keep going. And
I want to let these guys talk to you. I'm a steamroller at some point. So
you are, and I'm going to steamroll over Jason and Jeff just for a second because you mentioned Felix, and Felix is actually in the green room, and I do have a photograph that has I'm bringing Felix in right now, and I can share.
Hey, fellas,
screen here. There was a photograph that I think Kabi sent us that had you in it as well, Felix. Let me see here. Like I said, I got too many windows open. Here we go. I think that was from New York Comic Con. So you got Carl and Aranga and Mikhail.
I don't remember what year that was. Yeah, that would have been 2022, I think. 2022, yeah. Well, great.
Yeah, good times. Dan was, every picture you see the guy in, same smile. He
it's all good memories. It really, really is.
Yeah, no, I agree. But Felix, I know you posted something really nice over on Facebook as well, and you knew Dan. I know he picked up a few commissions from you. You guys worked together on some things with your artists. So, what do you remember? The most fondest memory of working with Dan?
Well, whole reason I'm here tonight is just to tell folks about Dan, because not everyone might have known him well. He was a big part of the community as a collector, and he always participated. I know in these live streams on your show, on my show, I think anywhere, and was just always so happy and positive. And like you said, he had a smile for everyone. And this is a hobby of intense emotions and passions, and there can be conflicts or petty squabbles, and we're not all going to like each other. And I mean, that even includes you, Bill. I know there are people you don't necessarily get along with. It's just kind of the nature of the hobby. I don't hold it against anyone. But when it comes to Dan, um, you know, he would never have a bad thing to say about anyone. And I guarantee you there's no one who would have anything bad to say about him. Just the sweetest guy. If you think I'm a curmudgeon, Lambert, who a lot of you know, he is a curmudgeon, and even Dan won him over. And he just had so many friends in the hobby, just beloved. There's this sketchbook project that got spearheaded by the other gentleman here. Tyler, Jason. I'm sorry, Jeff. I don't know if you were involved, but I know like Mikhail, Benno Rothschild. We should all acknowledge them too. Absolutely. They worked really hard to sort of help Dan out with his sketchbook project. Dan had various themed sketchbooks that he would always go around to shows, and it was not about collecting trophy pieces or getting things to show off. It was just pure love of art and the hobby and supporting the artists, and just furthering his passions for certain subjects. And so anyway, these little they're these fun sketchbooks, and these gentlemen went to various shows to help him fill it out, and it meant so much to him. Dan and I talked a lot, and the last few years, but when his treatment started, we really talked a lot. Before he was diagnosed, before he had to deal with cancer himself, he was a big supporter of our charity, Lou Family Fund, from day one. And so it was a subject, he and I would talk about. And, sadly, when it touched him, I think I was the first guy he reached out to. I'm not trying to take this into a different direction, but, when it comes to treatment and as a patient, very important aspect to get through it is to maintain a strong, positive mental attitude. And that was Dan. He was not self-pitying, not woe is me. He knew what he had to deal with, and he did. Every time he had treatment, he would always send a picture from treatment. I'm sure a lot of guys got those same pictures. He'd always dress up, brand new shoes, whatever. And I know he was making friends with the nurses. It's just who he is. And things were going pretty well. It was promising. He was not diagnosed at stage 4, but it did ultimately progress there. And even at that point, it wasn't completely hopeless. In terms of chemo, there are multiple chemos you can go through. And in the case of pancreatic cancer, you have 2 lines. And he was still on his first line. But and he had qualified for a clinical trial that was promising. And we were still optimistic. He was planning to go to Heroes. That's what he was really looking forward to. That was the one thing that I think kept him going a bit. And then right before Heroes, had a bad turn and couldn't make the show. We had planned it all out. He was going to hang out with us, so he had a place to rest. And we were all looking forward to it. And he, right before the show, things took a turn and he wasn't able to make it. And from there, it just didn't get any better. So you still don't expect it to go quite that fast. So, but it was about 3 weeks ago, I was out of town and he called me and he said, yeah, I've made the decision to transfer to home hospice. I said, okay, Dan, I'm going to come out and see you next week. When I'm going to get back home. And I had a wedding I was supposed to go to. I'm going to cancel that. I'm going to fly out that weekend. I was planning on flying out Friday. I'll see you Saturday, come back Sunday. And he said, okay. But by that Wednesday, we were contacted by his hospice care team that, he was no longer verbally communicative. And he ended up passing that Friday. So, I don't know about everyone else, but I got to say my goodbyes that Wednesday. I still held on to my ticket for that Friday just in case. But he passed that morning. And since then, the hospice team has set up a WhatsApp group for all his friends. And in the last couple of weeks, I knew Dan through this hobby as a fellow collector. Well, it turns out, and it should be no surprise, he had a wide circle of friends from his college days at Georgia Tech. He's a very proud Georgia Tech alum, and through his work, just like in our hobby, beloved. I guess I have one bit to share, which he told me. That is, they're going to name the student section in the basketball arena after him. So that's huge, and we're very, very happy for Dan. I guess I'll just say, a life that was cut too short, too early, but very well lived, and we'll all miss him.
Yeah, no, that is true, and I can say that we did put in the show description that they are taking donations in Dan's name at the university for that cause, and you can find the links in the show description if you'd like to make a donation to that. So, and I know that also in the show description we added in a few. There is another celebration of life happening in Atlanta a few weekends from now, and I think it happens over 3 days. And so you can get information about that too in the show description. I can put the links in the chat in a little bit too. But yeah, I actually see a gentleman in the chat who also are in the green room right now. I'm going to close this window for a moment and bring in Josh Cassara, because Josh, sorry man, I should have said I was going to bring you in right then and there, but I was actually just looking through Tyler T's folder. I didn't look through all the images before, and Dan, when we think about Dan, initially we just think about the artworks that he did for individuals, just for fun. And then I just now saw that one picture, and I'm gonna share a screen here as well, because clearly it happened at OEX, and I never saw that. Let's see right here. And I know that he had a big story picking that piece up from you too.
Well, hey guys, it's a bummer we're here for this because Dan was the man, right?
It's bittersweet. It's bittersweet. It is.
Yeah.
Very bittersweet. Dan, I don't have an art rep, and I just sell art directly. And Dan, I had to look back at our messages, and he first contacted me in early January of 2021. And, starting buying, I was working on X-Men, X-Force, all kinds of things. And it turns out, he's a huge Colossus fan, and he pretty much bought up anything Colossus that I had on. And, with selling art, you meet a lot of people, and a lot of times it's a very, very transactional relationship, right? And it's very cold. And here you go, you buy the page and stuff. But him and I had constantly kind of messaged back and forth here and there. And I think one time he came up to Terrificon that I was going to be at in Connecticut, and he came to pick up some art. And it's funny because he just kind of, we just kind of gravitated to each other. He just coming back to my table and talking, and all of his interest in Georgia Tech games and stuff. And like, I love college football, and we talked a lot about that, and his love of music. And so there was just it wasn't just this cold, you're going to come buy art. And he just had this warmth. And from then on, here and there he would buy some art, but there was just this just going back and forth. And then seeing him at New York Comic Con, he gave my wife Martha here her first little sketchbook to a themed sketchbook around that. She went off to get, her first one was like a peach momoko, and like she cherishes that sketchbook. And she had always told him he would always join our little live streams, and of course he was hilarious and all the jokes, and he was so keen, his wit. He'd be cracking us up, and everybody watching the live stream. And that picture there, after Dan messaged me, the first time I noticed he messaged me about everything going on with him was he apologized to me to say, I'm sorry I sold some of your thank you sketches, because a lot of times when I sell directly, I do little thank you sketches. And he messaged me to apologize for selling some because he was donating it to charity for a good cause for cancer. And he sent like 2 messages back to back, and I read the last message first. And the message was before that was the one about his diagnosis. And I took it really hard because I remember that I had missed him at New York Comic Con last year. I was expecting to see him. I was expecting to see Jason, of course. And I was expecting to see Dan there too. And then when I got that message, it was really tough because I don't have a lot of, I work alone. I don't have a lot of coworkers, right? And I don't have, when you're an adult, you don't make a lot of friends. And through this, these interactions and meeting such a great group of people here, it did hit me hard. But, he was always so positive and everything. And I remember one of the best messages I got is all of a sudden in midsummer, I get a message from him. And he's like, no effing way. You're going to be at Dragon Con, which was like his home con that he adored. And I, randomly, because I remember that I look back at our messages, we had this long conversation about Dragon Con, even just a couple years ago. And I was excited, and I was looking forward to him, to seeing him, last weekend. The show just happened. And we messaged him probably about 2 weeks ago or 3 weeks ago. First with a drawing of Colossus that I was working on. I was doing a cover, and he didn't answer back. And then I messaged again, hey, just checking in on you. I was, hoping we can get dinner in Atlanta. And that's when I messaged Jason. And, things had turned south. But as Felix had mentioned, his hospice team was so great. I was able to send a message to him, which I'm sure he heard. But he was Dan the man. And speaking of which, his name was DTM NYC, his online handle. And I guess I saw the DT. I always thought it was Dan Tancredi into something. And I remember on one of the live streams I did, I was like, oh yeah, DT. They said, oh yeah, there's Dan the man. What is DTM server? He's like, that's what it stands for, DTM, Dan the man. And of course we were just rolling because it was hilarious. And but yeah, I have that piece you have right here. He sent me a picture of it, and I said, oh my gosh, please, I want to buy this thing. He's like, no, I'm sending it to you. And I actually cherish it. I have it next to my desk while I'm working. And I told him I want to commission him to do a full size, like a full scale, like a wall painting. I said, when you're able to. And he's like, yeah, maybe that's something I should try out, because he was doing these really cool abstract drawings from all the, really cool drawings he was doing here. So I'd always let on to him, just like, please, when you're ready, I want a big, commission of that for my wall. It's going to go in my office. And, I still have this to cherish. But yeah, it's so great to look at the community and how much just this last weekend with Benno and Aranga. Cheers to Dan. It was bittersweet because he sure was missed.
Hey, Bill, let me interject here because I don't even know if Josh knows this, but before Dan did all the characters and stuff, the first thing he drew for me was this beast. And the reason, and if you see, it's after Kasara, and it's because he loved this beast, which was one of the thank you sketches that Josh had sent me, when I bought something. And that was the first piece that he drew for me. And I just thought it was awesome. And I so encouraged him to continue working on these things. And then all that's where, then he started with the characters and so on and so forth. So, Josh, I don't know if I ever even told you or showed you this before, but yeah, that I had to pull your beast off the wall so I could show it here. But yeah, that was the first thing that he drew for me, and because he started drawing during the pandemic. He never drew before. He just kind of started noodling around, and then he was aping artists he loved. And Josh, he loved you, and I just thought it was appropriate because you were mentioning the thank you sketches that you used to do, and that was one, and it came together just like that. And that was Dan, right? Like he would just noodle away, and send it over, and it's just a beautiful thing.
Those he would those pictures that Felix mentioned is those proof of life pictures with his gear, and we talk about what he's wearing and his wild shoes that he would but at the same time, to me, I don't know how much he sent to you. He was sending me a lot of his drawings. He was sending me pictures of all the different drawings that he was doing, and I would talk about this one is awesome, and you should really go with this. Like I really like when his super kind of more abstract stuff. I'm like, you really should push this, and that's why his Colossus drawing for me, I'm like, you should take this full scale. These to me were like the thumbnails of what I really think he could have done.
Hey, before we go any further, I see that we've got 4 other people in the green room right now. I think I can bring everybody in. I don't think StreamYard has a limitation. I think all 4 of them had their portraits drawn by Dan as well. So we got Derek and Aranga and Mr. Snorik and Cosgrove and Bari. Hey, gentlemen.
Good addition right there.
What's up, guys?
Hi. It's great to have everybody here. Yeah, I was I should learn. I got to put the link in for Dan's store too, because the opportunity to get any of those things might go away. It looks like they're slowly turning it off. They kind of removed some of the graphics out of it already, but I think you can. Yeah, there you go, Tyler. Thank you.
I'm not drinking out of it, but I at least had to bring it to the table. So.
Yeah, well, I'm wearing Marcus tonight, right there.
I've got my shirts too. I do. I have those. I have. Look at this one. See this guy? You recognize that guy right there?
It looks just like Casper, right? That's perfect.
I ordered a Casper last night. That's like mine, Sty.
Yep, and I've got the Marcus drawing.
Yeah, that's amazing. They're all so good. They're all. See, there you go. There's you have to buy your own too. So that's terrifying how large that is. Actually,
I think that one's like one of my favorite pieces that Dan did.
And I totally had COVID.
Tyler, it doesn't look that big.
I didn't know.
It's not that big.
Yeah, it's my head. It's the head stretched out. It's like 50% of the image.
That's to scale.
Yeah, it is. It is. He was that accurate.
Bill, I gotta tell you, the first time I interacted with Dan was, I think we interacted via group chat for like a year, and I'll right off the bat, I'll tell you honestly, he irritated the shit out of me, like in that group chat. That was like my first interaction with him, because anytime someone mentioned Bumblebee or Cyclops, it was like instant. It was like, what's in comics? Fuck those guys. Blah 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 blah. And like after a while, it was an instant reaction, and then I grew to have like an appreciation for, hey man, this guy's committed to the bit. Like he's committed. Like if I posted a piece of art that happened to have like, I don't know, a quarter panel of like Cyclops' visor or whatever, he'd go, great piece of art, blah, blah, blah. He'd write this whole rambling thing about how great it was, and then go, except for that fucking quarter panel of Cyclops, and it sucks. And whether it was something I drew or whether it was something I was sharing on Comic Art Fans, he was on it. And eventually I just got to like respect that. I was like, man, that is commitment to a bit. This was at Terrificon, I believe. Yeah. Yeah, he would. And the other thing that was really neat about him was, I mean, he's got some absolute murderers in those sketchbooks, but he would always kind of schedule like one with me in there, which was, which was really neat to have in there. And when he started drawing, it was the other thing was, the natural tendency is he would constantly ask questions about pens and brushes and stuff that I used. So I would send him links and say, order this one, try it out, see what you think about it. And then, here's a few others. And he would just order everything in one go. I'm sure like he's got, I think that one was his favorite of what I did. And I think it had to do with the Mankini. But yeah, he went full bore, man. He went full bore when he started the art stuff, and he would, I think Josh said it as well. He would constantly share that stuff, and then ask for advice and whatnot. I'm gonna miss him. Dragon Con this year was, he pushed me towards it a couple of years ago, and he was always so joyful about that show. And this year felt very, very, very weird. Not having him stop by my table like 100 times, like show up with the sketchbook every time he got a sketch in it to tell me who the artist was and where he got it from and what the idea for the theme was. He was just so excited about it. He loved art, and he was a fantastic patron of the arts. Man, I miss that guy.
So going off all of the Cyclops love, I would want to share with people. I know some people have probably heard this story before, but probably a lot of people haven't. The first time I ever met Dan in person was at a Heroes Con. And if some people remember that Heroes Con, I drew a lot during the pandemic too, and I made all these little tiny post-it notes. And to be perfectly honest, I didn't make them for anybody but me. I just kind of drew whatever I felt like. But when the opportunity came up after the pandemic and that I was going to meet all these people I met in the collectors' conversations, I knew I could pick out certain post-it notes and say, you know what, this belongs to this person. And so I picked out little things for people and set them aside. And when we all got to Heroes Con, there was that moment. I had kind of done it before with other podcasters, met people in person for the first time, but you only knew them by an online handle or an icon on a screen or something in a message board or a Discord or whatever it is. And so even Casey Dark Phoenix, when I first met her, she's like, you're baby Cyclops, right? Because that's my little icon on calf, right? So of course, just like Aranga, of course, I know it's shocking to everybody. I'm a huge nerd, and I used to get into fights with people on Wizard World Showdown message boards over who could kick whose ass in a fight in comic books, right? And so of course, hearing that Cyclops was the worst, your initial reaction is, what the fuck? Like, what? And so you get all defensive with it. But since I was an older, more mature person, just like Aranga, eventually it got to the point where you totally appreciated the bit. By the end of it, I was sending back photos of my Cyclops action figure in the trash because, Dan thought Cyclops was trash. So I could only respond accordingly. I had to laugh along with the joke. And so when it came time to come to Heroes, I wanted to find Dan in person. I wanted to meet Dan T, the legendary Dan T, in person. And so I was able to track him down. I think Aranga probably told me, look for this guy. He's wearing this shirt. Like, this is who it is. And so as I'm crossing the street to go back to the Westin, I'm like, you're Dan T, right? He's like, I'm Dan T. I say, I've got something for you. It's not a big deal. I got some stuff for everybody. And as I'm going down in my bag to get it, I say, by the way, I'm totally trolling you. And so I pull out 2 Post-its that I handpicked for him. And they were one of Cyclops and one of Bumblebee. And of course, he laughed his ass off and thought it was the greatest thing ever. We kind of shared our stories of why I liked Cyclops, because I was a young teenager with raging hormones and I couldn't decide between two girls, just like Cyclops couldn't decide between two girls. And he told me kind of very personal story of, you know, why he did not like Cyclops and why he was the worst ever. And I felt like it was like those moments in Marvel, you know, where two heroes came together and they had a vast misunderstanding, but by the end of it, they were both shaking hands and they were both friends. And the very last conversation I had with Dan T was I didn't know this at the time, but Marcus got this Bumblebee sketch from Ulan, and I saw it posted on the Facebooks, and it was, I think it was probably on Mannix's page or something. And I looked at this picture of Bumblebee and I went, wow, this is an awesome, awesome picture of Bumblebee. And later, when Marcus had it in his gallery, I was super jealous. But he had this awesome picture of Bumblebee. But of course, I knew Dan because Bumblebee was the worst. And so I sent him this image and showed him the image of Bumblebee. And I said in my best Sam Jackson voice, I dare you, I double dare you, motherfucker, to say something about how Bumblebee's the worst when Ulan drew this beautiful image of Mannix. And of course, he lolled and laughed and told me, just like Aranga said, he went into great detail about how, you know, the drawing was technically well done. It was a very great robot. But then at the end, of course, Bumblebee was the worst, super lols, lots of funny stuff. And I was just really happy that I got to spend time with Dan when I could. And the fact that he drew that visual of me meant a lot to me, because he said that he drew images of his friends, and I feel very privileged that he considered me as such a friend. And I was trying to explain to my dad, because, you know, he doesn't know too much about any of this stuff, but I tried to explain that sometimes when you see the characters that caricatures that Dan does, I think your first instinct is to be like, what the fuck? I don't look like that. It's like those stories that Neil Adams would tell about how he would draw like the perfect visual of a woman, and then the woman would get all offended in the bar, and then when he added like the makeup and the colors and everything, then all of a sudden they're like, oh, you're a genius, it looks exactly like me. And so I was trying to explain to my dad, I said, you know, the thing that pissed me off about that when I first saw it were the eyes. And I'm like, do I really look that world weary and tired and pissed off and everything? And the more I look at it and the more I just give myself over to that, I'm like, that's the best part that he captured. Like, that's the absolute best part. So I think he nailed it. And again, like I said, I feel very privileged that he considered me a friend, and I have to thank Mikhail for being the person that was able to deliver that to me, because that kicked off that OAX, and he was certainly missed at that OAX, but getting that little piece, that gift, made me feel loved, and I think that was the intention. And again, I'm very happy he was able to do that.
And I kind of had the exact opposite heroes interaction with Dan. And the one time we were in the same place at the same time. And I'm pretty sure it was Jason that introduced us. But I believe he just said, this is Dan T. And, you know, like we all have different handles and different chat groups and stuff, which is why I picked this one for tonight. It made no connection for me. And if they'd have said DTM NYC or bootlegging as a habit, or any of those other screen names that I actually would recognize him by, I probably would have tried to make more time to stand there and chat with him. But we kind of just said, oh, great, nice to meet you, and went about our ways. And then it was after the fact, when we got back online, that I went, oh, holy crap. Okay, we just missed this opportunity, so we'll have to do this again. And we just never intersected at the same show. But like Derek, Mikhail, that same OAX this year, brought me the sketch that Dan did of me. And I got to do a photo, which I think Bill has, of me wearing the T-shirt holding the drawing. In fact, he did 2 drawings and didn't like the first one, the one on the right. So the one on the left is the official one. And Dan, you know, he'd send me these as he was working on them, or he'd shoot me idea or send me, you know, these are the names that I'm thinking of maybe working on next. And sometimes would send me prelims of the folks he was working on. And then he'd also send me updates, you know, when he's doing his hospital stuff and all, what outfit he's wearing. So I've had my own health stuff I've been dealing with this year. So I was in a outpatient facility getting ready to have a procedure done. And so lying there in the hospital bed, I was wearing this shirt so that I could send my photo to him. It was always very supportive for everybody, and definitely going to miss him.
Hey, can I say one quick thing about Dan and his outfits? Either last year or the year before at DragonCon, my wife and I, we stopped by his hotel room to drop something off. And he was like, "Oh, come on in." And so he had he had like, I shit you not, like 50 t-shirts that he had brought with him to the show. He had a room with 2 queen beds, and the other queen bed was like immaculately packed, like laid out t-shirts, and he picked it out exactly according to what he was doing that day, who he might see, etc. And I think he had like, I don't know, 6 or 7 pairs of kicks. He drove to DragonCon, so he just threw all of that stuff in his car and he brought it. So yeah.
Oh, the camo shorts. There you go.
The one girl shirt.
Sharp dress man.
Yeah.
Bill, let me tell you a funny one you might get a kick out of, and going right to his outfits when he was dressing up. So this is totally not comic art related, but Dan was deathly afraid of bears. Okay, follow me with me. Dan was deathly afraid of bears. I have bears in my neighborhood. I used to joke, like, if I see the bear outside, I'm going to pet him. I'd send the videos, like if the Ring camera picked it up or whatever. And for a couple of years, we literally just sent back and forth bear memes or bear videos with people, whatever. And so this is running for a couple of years, that just like to joke. Like I'd say he'd stay away from the bear, protect the dog, whatever. So the last picture Dan sent me from treatment, he was wearing a bear t-shirt. And I got such a kick out of it because this was a running joke amongst us. And the last text I sent Dan, I knew it had gotten bad already at this point, but we were still talking back and forth. And I sent him, I know he wasn't on Facebook. So I screen grabbed your video of the bear in your yard, Bill. And I sent it to Dan and said, "Hey, I know you're not on Facebook. I know you're not on social as much as you used to. Just thought it was funny. Bill had a bear in his yard now too." And that was the last text I ever sent him. And that's when I never got a response back. And that's when, you know, it started getting around that it had really turned for the worse. You know, as Felix said way earlier, I mean, Dan was such a trooper through this whole thing. Like, he did not lead on that it was going downhill unless he had to. And I couldn't do that. Like, I don't know how he was so positive through all of that. And I just thought it was so connected that we had this bear joke. The last picture he sent me was him in a bear shirt. And the last thing I sent him was your bear, Bill. So what do they call him? Toenail bear now? Is that what they call the bear?
I think the bear has lots of different names, but I mean, I think that's an overriding theme from the last several years, right? There's a lot of crossover between our lives, and yeah, it's surprising, right? But I have to say, Derek, I'm very disappointed that I was not in that group where he was trash talking Cyclops, because it totally changes the conversation I had with him when he got me to buy that artwork. I think he was just, he was just trying to get me to spend more money than I probably should have. I had no idea, but now I understand.
he got it just so he could make fun of you later when you posted it.
Exactly. He practically dragged me over to Matt's table. He's like, "You have to get this," and and I did. I mean, how can you be taken somewhere and like that by somebody who's so enthusiastic and then not buy it? You'd be, But now I get it. Now I kind of feel like I know what Dan
Bill,
wants to hear now.
because he hated Cyclops, it was Dan, right? He knew you loved Cyclops, right? And loved that artist and wanted you to partake in that artist, and it didn't matter that he knew what you liked, so he was making you happy, and that's what Dan always did.
Actually, Marcus had the most logical take on it. He said he just wanted that piece off the table so he wouldn't have to see it every time he walked back and forth. That seems legit to me. That seems like a dad move.
Well, he was always on the floor. I mean, he knew every artist that he wanted to talk to and more. Whenever we talked about, collectors who definitely were helping us discover new talents, there was, Dan was always at the top of the list with Mikhail and Chris and you, Tyler. I mean, you guys just had a knack for, finding people who needed who should have been found long before that. It was you guys were incredible.
Yeah, and I think just us generally speaking, how kind he was to everybody. And Josh has already said this, but his reputation preceded him with the artists in the whole community. I mean, everybody knew him. I picked up books for him at Heroes this year, and I walked up and told them, these books are for Dan. And the responses that I got, like everybody knew who that was already, and he'd already just had amazing interactions with the community, and we see that from collector to artist, the whole range, and it just testament to how good of a person he was. But another thing too that I think that we all are kind of subjected to is the distance. We all live so far apart. Everybody's kind of spread across the country. So I think when something like this happens, it's hard. I know I personally I had tough. Everybody grieves differently, and there's endless scenarios on how that happens. But I know that I probably one of the first times I've lost a friend that was kind of far away, I guess. Or it's like out of sight. You only see, and that kind of ties back into. It's funny, we kind of assume you'll see everybody at conventions each year, and then some people can only make it to certain ones depending on region and where they're at, and that's kind of par for the course for the whole collecting community. And I think that ties back into how we process grief in this situation. And I know that like Josh mentioned that the hospice workers, you could leave a message for Dan. And I did that, and I found it incredibly hard for me to. I was recording this message, and I did like 16 takes, and I'm like, oh, I got to get this. I got to get it out. I got to say it, and I couldn't. I'd make it 20 seconds, and your voice just breaks. But I didn't realize it was really important for me, and that's what grief is. It's how all of us process it. But it was really important for me to leave that message for him. I guess because of the distance, and we wanted to see him at OAX, we wanted to see him at IC3, we wanted to see him at Heroes, and it didn't happen. And I think that's an incredibly difficult thing. We all know how much he loved Dragon Con too, so it's tough in that regards. That it's like it was from his diagnosis to Dragon Con this year, and that's just an incredibly hard thing. But I guess I just wrap all that up saying that I think it's important that we're doing this tonight, and that people have reached out and talked about Dan, and everybody that knew him, has kind of talked amongst each other these last couple of weeks, I think a little bit, and that's it's just helpful for the community. And I think that what ends up happening, and I'm sure this will happen in NYCC, but there'll be a big, once everybody meets up, it's going to be a big, it'll be more celebration of Dan, so this isn't technically done with in that sense, because I think a lot of that has to do when we see each other in person and everything like that. So,
Something Josh said earlier, something I said as well, to this larger group of friends, which is that, they always say it's hard to make friends as an adult, but no one ever told Dan that,
Yeah.
and I have an anecdote, just a story to tell about Dan and, how quickly he made friends and how they felt about him. There's another collector in the hobby named Yo Curry. And Yo and Dan are, they're lifelong New Yorkers, both Knicks fans. And this year, the Knicks made it to the Eastern Conference Finals for the first time in however long, and it was a big deal for the city. Yo actually got due tickets, and instead of taking his son, he took Dan. And it was just, it was a blast. They had a great time. They were both texting us during the game, and then, by the third and fourth quarter, when it wasn't looking so good, we were joking with them, well, which one of you's the mush, and Dan says, okay, it's me, I'm the mush. But he's always willing to poke fun at himself, self-deprecating. So he could dish it out, but he could take it. Yeah, just a super fun guy.
I've got a funny heroes one from not this year but last. What's the bar restaurant we go to that's open later? I don't know. A wrong guy. I wanted to call it. I don't know what that.
The
place
one
is.
with the meth head Santa.
You know. I was going to call it Santa's. Is what I was going to call it.
The tap room, tap room, the bar room, whatever.
Yes. Yeah. But so that year we were all going to go there for dinner. I think I know Jason. I think Jason Aranga. A couple of you in the chat were there, and I asked Dan. I'm like, "Hey, you want to go with us to this place?" And he's like, "No. I don't like those types of places. He doesn't like the bar scene like that." And so I kind of had to twist his arm to get him to come. And I did that by I was like, everybody's going to be there that you know. And so we kind of start playing the game. And he's like, well, who's going to be there? I was like, oh, Benno? I was like, Jason, so I just went down and Aranga, it's like, oh, Rob and Joe, and by about 4 people, he just gave me this big smile, and he clearly went with us and had a lot of fun. And there was a period, I know it was a little later, where that place gets pretty crowded and stuff, once I think a lot of those other places close. And he gave me that look, and I was like, yeah, you're ready to get out of here now, aren't you? And we both kind of were in that sense, just because it was more packed and harder to get through. But I was able to coerce him to come to that bar. So
he never came out drinking with us.
No, and I think it was more socially, too, where it was I had to really use you guys as leverage to get him.
Yeah. We'll make up for it at New York. We'll drink in his honor again. Josh and I and Benno. We knocked back a few at Dragon Con in his memory. Josh is still doing it.
But I think there'll be D&T celebration well into OAX 26. If not past that, in the heroes and so.
Yeah, I mean, he is definitely not going to be forgotten by any of us. Nork, you've been pretty quiet there. Not too
I'm trying not to start blubbering. I'm bad at these things. I met Dan at Heroes Con, and part of being on the show, which I guess I didn't realize when I started doing it, is people know you, but you don't know them. And he marched right up to me and was like, "Hey, you're Chris." And I was like, "Yep." And he's like, "I'm bootlegging as a habit." I was like, "Oh, Dan T." And we were in line for something long. I think it was at Felix's booth that year. And we just talked for like an hour. And while we were in line, and I think, we talked about obviously the stuff that we, wanted to do while we were there and, that kind of stuff. But like, I learned a lot about the guy. He was so loquacious, and I learned a lot about him in that first hour. And, you know, hung out with him throughout the weekend. And, you know, like these guys said, he wasn't one to like go out or, you know, and whatever, but like at the show, like, you know, interacting with Dan was like a highlight of that show. And it was my second Heroes, I think. And he, like, meeting Dan absolutely like made that show for me. Like the art that I got, and, you know, whatever, that's all great. But, and then, you know, I got home and on Monday or Tuesday or whatever it was. And, we started going back and forth on Instagram, and I realized like what I really liked, I think the most about Dan is that I said this in the chat. He was like a real patron. You know, he was a patron of the hobby. He was a patron of the arts, and he had such a wide breadth and depth of, you know, Bill, you mentioned knowledge about artists and knowledge about, I mean, he read everything. He read stuff that, I mean, I worked in a comic store for a long time. He read stuff that I had never even heard of, didn't know about. Yeah, all this weird stuff that he, for whatever reason, however he had access to it, I don't know. But, and he wanted to share that enthusiasm with people, and it was contagious. And he got me, you know, for every, you know, artist that I thought, you know, maybe people wanted to know, should know about, or, you know, I wanted to, like, you know, promote or whatever. Dan was there, like, you know, doing that before me to other people 3 times more, you know, et cetera, et cetera. And in such a fun way. Like a lot of people will send, like, you know, obviously I collect the thing. And so a lot of people will send me stuff like, hey, did you see this in Heritage? Did you see this in whatever? Dan would send me stuff like, hey, have you seen this artist? And, you know, that for me was like a huge window into kind of like how he thought about the hobby, how he thought about like all of this. Really is he appreciated the art, you know, so much more than the characters, the nostalgia, you know, like whatever attachment and, you know, he certainly had that side as well. But we would just talk about art, and we would go back and forth, you know, messaging on Instagram or whatever it might be. And, you know, Tyler told me he wasn't gonna, you know, was really looking forward to seeing him at Heroes last year, or this last Heroes, I should say. And he messaged me and he said, you know, tried to thread the needle, but it didn't break my way, but it's okay. And when I just, you know, I don't know. I thought he was going to be okay.
Mm-hmm.
I think a lot of us did, even at OAX. You know, I had, you know, I was like, we're going to get in that sketchbook, and, you know, that's going to help a lot of the treatment and stuff. And, you know, it's a very difficult thing in that regards. It's a reminder how much control we don't have over any of it, you know. But yeah, I think this is a perfect time to just, I know like Josh is in here, but just, and Felix too, thank you guys so much for, same way to Jiggy and everybody who contributed to this thing. I mean, it's amazing, us taking this around at OAX, and nobody would accept a penny for any of it. And it's just further how great this whole thing is. And we finally got Jim Rugg too. So, and that finally happened at IC3. So that was a big one. They were all big, but it really came together well. So.
And I think, you know, he made a difference in all of our lives, and in his own way. Like I said, I barely knew him, but the thing is, just seeing the joy he brought to so many people. You know, the whole gag with Mikhail, and or we, you know, all started with Anthony and those damn stats that he was trying to sell, and then all of a sudden it became a photocopy of a drawing, and then it became, you know, then it's I mean, I don't know, I think I've got an image of that somewhere, but it's just those silly things, you know, that Dan played a role in, that everybody riffed off of and made things so much more fun around here. And that's, you know, that will be missed. You know, we will never forget those moments. So
he had such a lack of ego and self-consciousness on so many levels. And one great example of that was when he took an unboxing video of that sketchbook when he finally got it and opened it as a surprise, and he videoed himself opening it, and he cried like a baby on it, and he didn't give a shit, and he was just so grateful. He sent us all that video.
It makes you.
I don't know if I could have done that. Like just just myself, just filming myself, just bawling my eyes out, and he was just so like just there were no airs about the dude. Like he didn't care about that kind of stuff.
Orongo, when the hospice workers were there and he was doing that video, he told them to leave the room because he didn't want them to see him crying at all. And it was kind of in a funny way in that sense. He was like, "Oh no, you're not gonna." He's like, "Get out of here for a second because I got to do this."
But then he sent it out to like 20 animals.
Yeah. And you can watch. Yeah, I watch it right. You can watch it right now, and you'll just start crying along with him. On cue. I mean, it just.
I watched it recently, and it was.
Yeah, you can't. It's like
it was a different effect from the day I watched it the first time.
Yeah, it really was. And I know Felix knew this too. We were all really, when OAX ended, we were really worried about getting the sketchbook to Dan as fast as we could, and we ended up sending it. Like Sean Crystal sent it to Mahfood, which I see Mahfood in the comments right now, which is awesome. And big thanks to Jim for doing that. Like all of you guys, it's so above and beyond. But it timed out fine, and we did get it to him, and it was. I think and Andre did one too for him. And I mean, that just shows you the community is that great that and I know he was thrilled with those. The hospice worker told us, I know that they all looked at him and his family looked at him and stuff too. So pretty cool.
I found it finally. There's
there
that became that.
It's
right?
Legendary.
Yeah, that was viral within CAF. That doesn't happen too often. But never leave an opportunity for a good joke. To pass any of those guys by. That was great. And Anthony never brought a stat to Dueling Dealers again.
Nobel Peace Prize.
Exactly. Yeah. Oh man. Well, again, I'm glad that we were all able to get together to do this because I know that they're doing something in Atlanta in a couple weeks, and I honestly toyed with the idea of trying to figure out how I could make the 8-hour drive and maybe even drive back all night to get back, so I know I'm not going to be able to make it as much as I was kidding myself that I could go, but there is information down in the description for those who are in the area or can make it. I certainly would encourage everybody who can to take the opportunity to meet in person and be able to do what we just did here tonight.
Yeah, I can't believe they're naming the basketball section after him. That's amazing. Yeah. That is so cool. So we all need to pony up to Georgia Tech now.
Very, very true. And reading on a couple of the other forums and stuff, we're just friends of Dan's were posting. I mean, clearly Dan was like this with everybody. We were very fortunate to have him in our collecting group, but he clearly, all his coworkers expressed the same sorts of things that we're saying here about him. They mentioned his T-shirts. They knew he collected art and enjoyed comic books. I mean, yeah. He was, it wasn't an act. He was as true a person as we might ever meet.
I got another quick one that Benno told me this the other day on the phone. And I want any of you to think of this. Do you do this at cons? Because I don't. We're all selfish at the base of it because you're all like, oh, I want to go see what art's there. But Dan would go to cons and he would pick up books. He would go around to artists that he knew, and kind of like what Chris was saying, or how he would send you an Instagram. He would send me Instagram messages of this artist profile. He would buy books at cons for other people. Like he would be looking around and think, oh, well, like he bought Benno a book that he was like, oh, I think I saw this and I thought you would like this. So he picked it up. And that little detail, I was like, maybe you guys do that, but I am so like in my own zone about like, oh, what does this artist have over there? It's like very selfish driven. And
I don't even do it if someone asks me to pick up a book.
Same way. I'm like begrudgingly like, oh yeah, I'll tell you know, but it's like good friends. Yeah. But if I don't know you that well, I might say, I'm not going to do it. I'm not picking that up. That's because I'm a miser. But I thought that just those little tidbits like that, I think it's important. All of us, if anybody has, we all need to tell each other those stories too. You know.
Yeah,
really
one of the last messages he sent me was about Heroes, because I said, hey, when I found out he wasn't coming, I was like, hey, can I pick anything up for you? And he said, no, I'm going to make Tyler get me a bunch of stuff.
He sure did.
But you, Chris, should get Aranga's ash can, and you should pick up Jeffrey Allen Love's.
Oh, and you know that was 2 on his list too. So and see, but how amazing is that? You know, he's like, oh, but I'm going to tell you what you need to. I've already thought what you need to get. So that's irreplaceable to a degree.
I feel like I should have had some deeper conversations with Dan towards the last couple of days, but I knew he was kind of in and out. So really, my last messages to him were all there's a pretty popular comic book artist that Dan and I had the opportunity to kind of spend some time with once, and we refer to him as American Psycho, like Christian Bale's character in American Psycho. So I just found every piece of American Psycho, like posters and whatever I could, and superimposed that artist's face on it. And he would just send back lols and just like laugh. And that was, I wish we had a deeper conversation, but I guess that's all I had in me, to not, you know, I think when you're kind of at that place, my thoughts were like, you know, I don't want to kind of talk about what's going on in his life right now. And I'm just going to send him this stupid shit.
Yeah, right.
Aranga, I kind of hope those messages were about me.
You'll never know, my friend.
You have a new Photoshop we can work on. Gotta get him on the Psycho poster. I can do that pretty quick, you know that.
Ask me offline. If we ever see each other in person again, like maybe New York, Josh, I'll make sure I'll show you those, and it'll click immediately.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad we had this opportunity to hang out and talk about Dan. I really am, and you know, it's a pleasure to get to know him a little bit better than I got to in life. You know, and I think that I wish I was going to be at some of these upcoming shows with you guys to hang out and have a beer and talk a little bit more about him. But yeah, I think we just need to keep his memory alive. I think clearly the art that's already on CAF. You know, his premium membership ironically expired on the 2nd of September, so I added 10 years to it. So until somebody tells me to take it down,
right?
You know, that his gallery is still being on CAF. And
hey,
you know,
Bill, cheers to that one right there, buddy.
Cheers. Hey, was Zero? What am I? A Zero soda junkie? I can't recall, but yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Hey, Bill, Marcus said he emailed you another one of his drawings. I don't know how easy that is for you to get to.
I think that was the Lance one.
If it's the Lance one, that's in the folder I uploaded also.
Yes, it is. It does look like Lance. Let's see.
And I put the reference photo he used in there as well.
Does this count as a Dan T art drop then?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, that's Lance.
Oh yeah,
That's definitely
I saw that. That's the new style. That's his newer.
Oh, the carpet's in there.
I never saw that one.
That's so rad.
Oh, that's funny. Yeah, I actually moved that into another folder, so I can't show you the reference image from it. But yeah, that is Lance. Perfect. But I don't
Shrouded in mystery.
Yeah, it was Lance at a lunch. Might have been the San Diego lunch last year. So it was all kind of in shadow in the restaurant. But yeah, then he added the Lance carpet background.
It's not just the background.
It's foreground and midground too.
Yeah.
It's a way of life.
That's because Lance won't buy a scanner. Oh man,
you're showing his art. Actually, Martha got this at the auction, at the OAX auction. I don't know if you guys remember that.
Oh, I forgot all about that.
When it went live on the auction, I texted him real quick. I said, "Hey, you're live," and I messaged him. I said, "Martha bid on it," but I don't think I ever let him know that I actually got it. I kind of didn't even say. I said, I think he messaged. He's like, "Oh, awesome," and then I think I said what Martha's last bid was or something like that, and I never actually mentioned to him that we had gotten it, and I don't know if he ever knew or not, but it goes, right next to my Colossus. So,
where is Martha? Drag her in.
She's off partying. I don't know, or being responsible while I'm here drinking. I don't know, rum. So.
I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
I was going to say that was similar. We didn't, Yo Curry and I didn't know if Dan saw the commission sketch that we made. And Chris, you did that thing justice last week, so thank you for that. But we still we think that Dan saw it. But one of my last messages to Dan on Instagram was, "Hey, did you get the package from Yo Curry?" And he said, "Yeah, I got it. Thank you." And he didn't say opened it or anything, but he hearted. As I told him, I said, "Hey, there's a commission from Marcus in there." So we do think that he opened that up and saw that.
Mikhail showed up.
That was, but so that was good. We were worried, that same kind of thing. Like you didn't know if he was, if he had some art that he didn't get to open all the way to, and so.
So it sounds like he did know that Josh and Martha ended up with it.
Yeah, I think, absolutely.
Yeah, I think he knew, Josh. I'm pretty sure he knew.
I think somebody may have told him after OAX. It's okay. But,
Jason.
Yeah, someone might have been me. I'm pretty sure it was.
Yes.
Yes, the man with all the information. Well, guys, I only have a Zevia to toast, Dan, but I know some of you have other beverages of choice.
Bluetooth speaker.
Yeah, he got the Bluetooth.
That's all you got?
Mio.
Oh, wait a minute. I did it. No, I'll do.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you for sharing this. That really meant a lot.
Thanks for doing this, Bill.
Remember that he had the most impeccable taste in artists, and he had the same taste in friends. I look at all of you, and that's clear. So thank you all very much. It's amazing.
Guys.
Cheers to Dan the man.
Dan the man.
It's not right unless you do it that, Bill. So.
Hey, I also think it would have really tickled Dan a lot if Bill signed off today with an F Cyclops.
No.
Or a cat mask. I know we love the cat mask, Bill.
I think, yeah.
Yeah, Jason, you're just saying that crap. So
just for Dan or for Marcus?
Just because you want to see that happen. Hey, my love for Cyclops isn't as deep as everybody likes to think. I like to play along with it as well. But yeah, no, I can't do an FU to Cyclops on a sign off.
Oh yeah, the 500 pieces and the $50,000 that you spent on them. That's not a giveaway that you love Cyclops. No, there's no problem.
I want to go back and look at the chat groups and the things that he was saying about Cyclops now, though. That does, because like I say, he sold me on that. He was like, this guy draws the best Cyclops in all of Heroes. I mean, it was crazy, but he did it.
I want to go back and clip where you said I can't say FU Cyclops. And just clip everything to it just says FU Cyclops. Really good. Yeah, really good. I got you.
All right,
hey, buddy.
Okay, you got it.
Bill, let me just do one last thing.
Yeah,
for the
please.
People that aren't on the screen. Everybody in the chat, you're friends now, right? Seek people out like Dan did. Everybody had that story about meeting Dan. you're at a show, reach out to one of us, somebody that's also in the chat, and make friends in person, right? Because it goes so wrong, and you never know when something's gonna happen, right? So don't wait till the next show. Don't wait till the next person. Don't wait to be pulled in. Just say hi, and we're all friendly, even Aranga, believe it or not.
Yeah.
No, well said, Jason. I think that yeah, we should all remember that and do more of it, right? So whatever the next show up is, I hope everybody remembers that.
Eddie P, baby.
Eddie P, that's right. In a
Eddie
week
P
and a half.
too.
Yeah, you and Kazra will be.
Hey, there you go, Dan. When Dan did the fundraiser thing, like back in Christmas, there's an Ed Piscor patch page, one with Goblin Queen and Fin Fang Foom. So
you bought
that? That's nastier.
Yeah, nastier.
Yeah, you like that?
Yeah, that's not Fin Fang Foom.
That's not Fin Fang Foom. That's
is it not?
Yeah.
I don't know my.
I'm glad you only bid on well-researced stuff, Tyler.
Yeah.
Why did
I knew it was Goblin Queen?
I have to correct him on that. Where were you on that?
I even pulled the page over. Yeah, don't know my character.
The guy was emotional. He was telling an emotional story, Chris. I didn't want to interrupt him, and all you guys who had to be correct had to correct him.
No, it's right. Oh, hey, I'll own up to it. But yet that just ties into that. Like, oh, Dan knew those same artists, so really cool. But so that adds a special layer to that one now,
All right, gentlemen. I think I don't know what to say. I've never been good at these things either, but
no, it's tough.
I appreciate you all for being here with us, and like Kazra said, I mean, the proof of the fact that we're all together is a testament to Dan's life, and I look forward to always remembering him and the things that he's given to us. We just need to remember to continue giving back to the community like he did, and I think we'll all be happier for it. And everybody in the chat, thank you for hanging out with us too. We this is a somber moment, but I think we can all move forward a little bit happier and a little bit more comrades in arms in this thing. So thank you all for being with us, and we'll see you again on the next show or at the next con. You name it. Say hi when you see us.